have a guest and we are setting up. Uh, and who is it? Well, our friend Tariq Elnaga is joining us, and what a good egg. We love to talk to him about Alberta. Sheila, let me hand it over to you to start things off with our friend Tariq.
Well, our friend Tariq, boy, we sure like Tariq. He is a former Maverick Party candidate, Maverick Party leadership candidate also. He's a very keen watcher of all things Alberta, one of the fiercest defenders of Alberta you'll ever find. He's kind of new to Alberta, but boy, we're sure lucky to have him. He loves us more than a lot of people who were born here. So, Tariq, thanks for coming on the show. Are things shaking out so far the way you thought they would be? I mean, the vote is coming in pretty slow, I think, but are you seeing any surprises tonight?
Not really. I think in my heart of hearts, I'm thinking somewhere in the early 50 seats to go for the UCP, whether that's 51, 52, 53. I would say it doesn't really matter at this stage. What I will say, what I'm really, really keen to think, and again, in my heart, I think that the UCP will win. But I do think that what will be very different by the end of the week is what cabinet looks like. And I'm very, very keen to see what the future cabinet of Alberta looks like, because I think that's going to change drastically.
Yeah, I think we're going to see some losses in cabinet. For example, I think Casey Madu is going to lose his riding. He probably deserves it. So what's your fantasy football cabinet look like after all of this?
Well, I think you're going to see the front bench see a lot more rural folks than others. So one that's very, very well liked within the rural community, Nate Horner from Drumheller-Stettler, current Minister of Ag. I think you're going to see him continue to be current Minister of Ag. I think from the urban candidates, you're going to likely see, again, Rebecca Schultz on the front bench. You might even see Chantal de Jong, Angela Pitt on the front bench. Now, what will be interesting is who gets finance, because that's a wide open seat right now, and that's usually seen as kind of a very influential seat in Alberta elections. I don't have a prediction. Maybe you guys do, but I don't have a prediction. I mean, this was, again, Travis Taves' seat, so we know he's not running. The candidate that replaces him, I don't know if he has the same prominence that Travis Taves has. So I'm very curious to see. And I mean, Casey Madu was deputy premier. Who's going to get deputy premier now? So yeah, you're going to see a wildly different cabinet by the end of the week, I think.
Hey, let me jump in for a second, Tariq, and I think you're right to start to look at what the cabinet's going to look like. But I want to read an amazing $100 message from Chris Rumble, and I think that might be the boss of Rumble, Chris Pavlovsky. The message is, love the coverage by Rebel. Let's tell everyone to cut the cable TV cord and tune into Rebel on Rumble. I'm watching it on Roku. Well, Chris, if that is you, thank you so much for your support. And we love Rumble. Right now, we have over 8,000 people watching concurrently. And we love it because it's a great platform, but also because it's a free speech platform where we can say what we want to say. And we don't have to always be looking over our shoulders. You know, I had the pleasure of going on Tim Pool's program the other day, Timcast. And I admire him very much. He's a very wise man. But he lives in constant terror that if he says one word wrong, YouTube is going to delete his channel. And I don't want to live that way. And on Rumble, we have the ability to be free. So I just wanted to give you a shout out back, Chris. And thanks to you for your support. Tariq, thanks for letting me interrupt. But that is actually part of our story, to be independent citizen journalists, to get around the gatekeepers of the old media and the gatekeepers of censorship at YouTube. So that is part of what we do. And it's great to be part of a larger citizen journalist community. Now, Tariq, back to you. I want to know what you think of the regime media, the old media, and how they covered this. And I've been asking our other guests that because I think that the NDP party was not as effective in opposition as the media party, and that the real damage done to Danielle Smith and her party was not actually done by the NDP, but was done by their surrogates in the mainstream media. What do you think about that?
I completely agree. So, Ezra, first back to your comments. Thank you for having me. It's always a treat working with you and the Rebel crew, and who I consider a strong brother and a good friend. Adam Sills here, sitting right next to me. So, and Kian behind the camera. So it's amazing. You're such an incredible crew, and I appreciate you all. So, Adam, giving me a pat there. So, but no, you guys are awesome. But to answer your question, Ezra, about the mainstream media, they have been trying so hard to sink Danielle Smith. They've been trying their absolute best, and have been shilling for Rachel Notley in every possible way. And I think if you've seen from what happened over the last 3 years, they're losing their customer base, and there's less and less people saying, you know what, you can say whatever the hell you want to say. We're not going to listen to you. So I think they've probably failed, and failed miserably, at covering the election in a balanced mechanism. They've tried so incredibly hard to tank Danielle Smith's campaign, pulling out videos from 10 years ago and what have you. So I don't see it. You're absolutely right. If it hurt the NDP, that's on them. So be it. That's all right. But I truly think that Danielle Smith is going to win this on her own merit.
Last question is my friend Sheila Gunn Reid.
What ridings are you watching that we should be watching?
Absolutely. So I really think if you look at Edmonton, I think it's going to be a 20 out of 20 sweep. Orange, be interesting if there's an upset or two within Edmonton. What I would say is the biggest ridings is the closer you physically get to downtown Calgary, the more that we should be watching them. So, and the reason is, even if the UCP win, Sheila, I don't want a couple of activist NDP candidates to be in the Alberta legislature. So if you think of Calgary Elbow, Samir Candy, very anti-oil. Megwan El-Gunaid for Calgary Glenmore, super anti-oil as well. You have two AHS activists running against Copping and Shandro for Acadia and Varsity. So those are the seats that I want to see, because it's less about just the seat count. Again, whether she gets 52 or 53 seats, it doesn't matter. But it's who those candidates are and who those individual candidates. And I'd very much like to not see them in the legislature.
All right, there you have it. Tariq Elnaga, thanks very much for your perspective. Keep up the fight, and it's great to have you on the channel.